Hello, everyone out there in the world of LinkedIn. Welcome to Nardi Media's LinkedIn Live today. I am Ashley Bernardi, the founder and CEO of Nardi Media, and I'm thrilled today to have Catherine Dunkel. She is our incredible media strategist, project manager, publicist extraordinaire. Her background is just like mine, rooted in journalism. Catherine was at Roll Call and the Today Show, and she's been with Nardi Media for a couple of years now. So Catherine, first, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today for our 2024 year in review and 2025 look ahead.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun talking to you.
Yeah, it's going to be a good discussion. So today we are going to do some reflecting on what a great year we've had here at Nardi Media. And we're also going to be looking ahead to media trends for 2025. So trends that are shaping the industry and how professionals and people who want to get their word out via the media can prepare to do so. So whether you're in PR, in communications, or you want to elevate your brand, your company, your cause through the power of the media, this session is for you. And we want to hear from you. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We will make sure to answer a couple at the end. So let's dive in, Catherine. First, why don't you share a little bit more about your role here at Nardi and your background?
Well, I'm technically a media strategist, which is just a fancy title. I consider myself a publicist. I mean, we're pitching, we're telling stories, we're helping people elevate their brands and their voices. And it's an all hands on deck experience at Nardi. So I contribute to that, and I feel the help of the greater team in that effort.
Yes, for sure. It's absolutely team effort, Catherine, but you are also a shining star here too. And 2024 was a great year for us here at Nardi, and we're looking ahead to 2025, celebrating our 10-year anniversary. Just a couple highlights I'll shout out here, and then Catherine, I want to hear from you, but we've had some incredible book launches with my dear friend, Dr. Emma Seppala. She launched her book, Sovereign. We had Dr. Jamie Metzel's book, Super Convergence, come out. We've partnered with mission-driven organizations like the Armed Services YMCA. And for our charity event this year, we partnered with the Animal Welfare League of Alexandria, which was so much fun. We held an event here in the Northern Virginia region and the DC area, and we actually helped dogs and pets get adopted and raised over $2,000 for the organization. So I love celebrating that. That is what we called Barktoberfest. And then on top of that, getting our clients in major media wins this year, everywhere from CNN to Good Morning America, top podcasts, so many more. Catherine, I want to know what we can celebrate with you today. What are some big wins that you want to reflect on and celebrate right now?
You touched on a lot. I've had the pleasure of working with major nonprofits, health and wellness experts, and doctors and authors who are publishing books. A lot of wins in major platforms like NBC News, CNN, op-eds getting placed, which, as we know, is very difficult these days. So whether it's a large publication or a small local publication, I think an op-ed placement, I consider it a huge win. So those were just some of the few highlights of the year.
Yeah, and I think we've been doing a tally. I mean, over the past several years, we've had thousands and thousands and thousands of media placements. And this isn't just like, just some no-name media outlet. It is NPR, national TV, radio, print, online. It's huge.
Right, right. And the local outlets as well. I mean, they are looking for stories all the time, especially highlighting their local residents and their local families. So I love pitching local outlets because I love elevating people in their communities, and they love to do that as well.
Yeah, and it does make an impact when people come to me and say, "Does local media matter?" And I say, "Yes, it's actually your first stop, the first place that you should go." Never discount local because they are so community focused, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's definitely a good starting point.
Yep. All right. So a couple other things I wanted to touch on that we can celebrate is just our internal growth here as a team. We've expanded our team. We've really doubled down on storytelling, customized pitching. We all were trained in podcast pitching, which was so awesome, and just really cultivating those important media relationships. So Catherine, I want to just hear from you. What do you think were some of the key drivers of our success this year in getting our clients placed in the media?
Well, I think persistent helps, and I don't mean persistent in an annoying way, just delicately persistent, knowing your journalist contact, knowing their beat and their audience, and knowing their style. You don't want to follow up too much, but you do want to follow up enough to where you can reminds them that they have an opportunity waiting for them if they want it. And it also helps to know that that opportunity is the right fit for them. So I think Nardi Media is really good at that, knowing which publications work well with our storytelling and just maintaining good relationships with our contacts, simply because we actually do like them. We like maintaining good relationships with them. They like us, from what I can tell. So I think that helps a lot.
I love that. And something else that we've really doubled down on, and next year I'm going to be training the team more, is on media training, because it is so important for a spokesperson, whether it's yourself or somebody within your organization, to know exactly what they're going to say, and say it in a soundbite, and say it in a way that's going to be relatable, memorable, and useful. So I'm really excited that we've done a lot of media training that this year, and next year we're going to be expanding that, and where I will be training all the Nardi Media team to go out and do it themselves too. So really looking forward to that, Catherine. So let's talk about we're going to shift gears. I want to talk a little bit about media trends. What do you think are some of the media trends that you have observed this year in 2024?
Some of the media trends that I've personally experienced, I would say the number one is data-driven storytelling. I would prefer to reach out to my contacts with data,
Mm,
real life data about what's going on, why this impacts their audience, why this should matter. I think that helps establish credibility. It also helps make something appear very timely. You can reference back to it, and it's very relevant. I think it's very helpful. So, yes, I've sent pitches out that don't necessarily have data in it because I don't have it available. But I will say the outreach that I've done with data, real time analytics, information is very, very helpful.
And tell me a little bit more about the data. And I totally agree with you. This doesn't have to be someone's proprietary data. It can be data that is provided elsewhere from a reputable source. Because sometimes people are like, oh my God, do I need to go out and do a survey? My answer would be no. What are your thoughts?
I completely agree. Some organizations do have the budget to perform their own surveys and have their own data. That's helpful, but also there are organizations and groups out there like the CDC that have plenty of data at hand that you can use to back up your storytelling, to back up, this important topic that you're trying to get out there. So I think a combination of both is great, but definitely there's a lot of free data out there on the internet that can definitely assist you.
Love it. Okay. What's another trend that you've seen this year?
I think just, and this is a continuing trend. This is something that has always existed, and I don't see it ever going away. It's just authenticity, transparency, and good relationships with your contacts, as we briefly mentioned. I think knowing your journalist contact, knowing their audience, knowing their interests, their needs, what they're looking for, but being sincere about it, I think is really helpful. And that's something that's going to come naturally. It's not something that you can really, well, I guess you can teach it, but it definitely shines through when you're a little bit more authentic and sincere about it. I think, it helps you to maintain friendships on social media, off social media, on email, and, in real life, honestly. And so it kind of it creates this foundation that, where you're not always going to them with something, but then they will start coming to you and asking, hey, do you have somebody for this? Do you have any ideas on this? So it's a really nice rapport. It's very helpful. I love it because, I mean, we're in public relations, so we love establishing relationships with other people and maintaining those relationships. So I think that's one of the trends that I think will continue, and that I think is very valuable.
I love that. And you're right. And I love cultivating relationships with members of the media. And I think we forget, like, oftentimes people forget to think like they're actually human. Like, they're on deadlines. They're getting pitched 1,000 pitches. Like, it's okay to ask them, like, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? Like, pulse check on, NBC News reporter, because this has been a tough year for them. It's an election year. They're going through an inauguration, a transition of, there's going to be a lot of news, and they're already burned out. So just remember, I would say, just treat them as they're humans, and with kindness, and they're on a deadline, and yes, they're just as stressed, if not more stressed than you are. And I think that people tend to forget that. And I think that's what I love about our personal touch here at Nardi. I did want to ask you though. So we have some amazing, amazing press connections, but I've been mulling over this lately and I want to get your take. Is PR all about those connections? And here's my thought. My thought is that no, you could have the best connection in the world. One of my best friends works at NBC. I have some of the best connections in the world, but PR is not all connections. If you do not have a powerful story to tell, your best friend, your mom, your brother, your sister could be working at the Today Show. And without that powerful story, you're never going to get it booked. So, Catherine, what say you?
I'm going like this and like this and like this because I'm agreeing with you, but I think it's a little confusing. Yeah, you hit it right there. No, you need something timely, you need something relevant, you need, again, to know the audience, to know the journalist's interest, because that's going to help you just form a convincing try, basically. I don't think it's all about the connection. I think it's really understanding them, really understanding what's going on in the world, what's not going on in the world. If something is not timely and of interest, then probably not going to get a lot of attention. But if it's, let's say, if there's a lot of chatter about nutrition, say around the holidays, it's probably a good time to share your clients' expertise on diet and holiday eating and choices to make and long-term effects, resolutions, things like that. So I think there's always a little bit of understanding about what's going on to capitalize on those connections that you have.
That's right. And so when we're pitching, we're thinking, where's the story? Where's the news you can use? What's the audience going to learn from? Why does my audience care? Those are the questions that I personally always ask myself when I'm even writing a pitch. And transitioning now, also speaking of writing, AI. I'm curious what you have observed in the world of AI. This year seemed to be like the year everyone has tested the waters on how to integrate AI into what they do for work. And PR was no stranger to that. There was a lot of experimentation, especially here at Nardi. What have you observed in terms of AI for this year?
Well, AI is still new in a way for the majority of us. We're still experimenting with it. We're figuring out what it can do, what it can't do, what it's helpful with. For me personally, I think AI is helpful in researching some ideas, perhaps helping you with some language like thesaurus.com might do. It could even help you maybe with the first draft of something or the first iteration. But I would be cautious to rely completely on AI for our purposes simply because, at the end of the day, it's not your work. And we as PR professionals and journalists really hold high that transparency, that authenticity, the credibility. So that coming from a person is going to be more valuable than I think coming from artificial intelligence. Um, that being said, again, I think we're still figuring all of that out. And I think we're going to see more in 2025. I think even though AI existed before 2024, I feel like it kind of made its debut in a way. But I think in 2025, it's going to expand. We're going to get more curious about it. And so I definitely encourage the curiosity, the experimentation, but I would also, just proceed cautiously. And at the end of the day, just go with your gut and what you think is the most authentic version of whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, I love that. And just to like touch on it a little bit further, as you know, here at Nardi Media, we did a lot of experimenting with AI just to see like, does it have a place here? And like you said, yeah, sure, for coming up with some ideas, but where we've discovered that it definitely doesn't have a place is in pitch writing.
Yeah.
And you're a former journalist, as am I, and I would, just play around with it and I'd be like, oh my God, it's so obvious because there's so much jargon. And if you want to learn more about this, we do have a blog on our website at nardimedia.com. But we ended up implementing a policy where none of our pitches are written by AI. First of all, it's that authenticity, it's our voice, it's understanding the client, but journalists know. So like out there, anyone who's not a journalist and thinks that your AI can write your pitch, we know. I can, if I'm sent a pitch and it was written by AI and you're not telling me it's written by AI, I will tell you if it's written by AI.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I think that we do, as former journalists, we kind of have that advantage to knowing what was written by a person and what wasn't. And up until, maybe this past year, most things, if not everything, if not every pitch was written by a person.
That's right.
It might not have been a great pitch, but you can still tell whether it's a human hand in it or a robot. And I do agree, AI has a lot of jargon. It just basically, if it sounds like it's not conversational, it's
Mhm.
probably, I mean, you wouldn't want to read it. You're not going to be interested in a bunch of words that you've really never heard of or use on a day to day basis. One thing that we're trying to do in pitching is just bring down the story to earth. We're trying to level that playing field of understanding, making it something digestible while still making it interesting. So if you have a bunch of words in there that are too many characters and sound a little bit more than what you would use, it's a good indication that it wasn't from a human.
That's right. Okay. I want to look ahead to 2025 because we're
Let's
just
do
days
it.
away, which is so crazy to even think about.
I'm
Um,
not acknowledging that at all.
yeah, I know it's scary, but also it's a really exciting year for us here at Nardi because we're celebrating 10 years, and I love celebrations. So we're going to be celebrating all year long. So I hope everyone stays tuned. We're going to have parties, celebrations. We'll do giveaways. This will be throughout the entire year of 2025, and we're also debuting a new updated 10-year anniversary logo. So stay tuned for all that. Let's talk about media trends. What are some of your predictions that you think, like maybe some trends that you think will continue into 2025?
So AI, obviously, which we already touched on, I think digital media is going to continue to expand. That includes
Mhm.
social media, that includes podcasts, which we've already seen podcasts have this huge impact on the election. I think it's going to be this new way of storytelling. It's not going to be a 4 minute uh, package where you're limited to what you can say on TV. It's going to be up to an hour of whatever it is you want to say, whatever message you want to get across. A lot of people are becoming more interested in podcasts. A lot of people are creating podcasts, making more opportunities for clients and people who want to get their voice out. I think streaming is going to be even bigger. Whether it's on a streaming network or on social media like LinkedIn or Instagram, I think people want to see real life conversations happening, unedited, raw. And so I think those are a few of the trends that I can think of as far as digital media goes. I mean, that's just not going away. It's going to grow, it's going to get bigger.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's even platforms like this, LinkedIn, and us on here in this interview style format is another great way to spread your message too. And I think it's almost like we can all be our own hosts and journalists, as podcasters have proven, even though it is very different from traditional journalism. But I do see that digital footprint from traditional journalism expanding as well. So those streaming networks on ABC, CBS, NBC, I would be curious to see the viewership numbers from like CBSN or NBC News Now versus actual terrestrial TV, which I don't know, but I have a feeling it's going to look a little bit like how print and digital now compare to each other, where, a digital publication, you have one publication, their digital footprint is so much larger than their print footprint. I can see that happening with TV.
Right. That's a really good point. And also to your point about digital versus print, we've seen digital expand and print, reduce its numbers. But now we're seeing some print coming back, at least in limited quantities, annual, quarterly magazines. Playboy just announced that they're going to have an annual issue starting in 2025. Field and Stream magazine, which is not a magazine that I subscribe to, but very excited for them to have a resurgence in the next year. So that's interesting. It kind of, for me personally, this is not based on anything I've seen, but I'm wondering if we're on our phones and we're on our laptops and we're just so digitally connected so much that we're starting to need those little breaks. We're starting to want, things in hands to read and that give us a little bit of separation from just the world of social media and digital media that we are in all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's also a matter of preference. That's how I am. I'm still obviously like, I still read physical copies of books. I don't like to read books on my computer because I do like that breakaway. So I am hopeful that we do see a print resurgence. But like you said, I think it's going to be different. I think they'll be quarterly, yearly, like you mentioned, that they're doing. But I do still see a place for them. But I would say this. However, if you are an expert hoping to get your message out to the masses, digital is still going to be the way to go because of the footprint. And also, you have the SEO, it's on a website, it's a link, it's a shareable link versus having a magazine that you can, hang on your wall and send pictures to your friends and family that, hey,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, I think a lot of clients want to have that physical copy of themselves in a print magazine. Trust me, I would love to see myself in Vogue and have it in my hand. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. However, I would be just as pleased as being featured on Vogue's website, because I know that's getting to more people. So I think that's something, to your point, that clients should think of, is that footprint, that breadth of the amount of people that are going to see their message is definitely going to be wider on a digital platform versus print publication.
Yep, I totally agree. And as you all can see, there's a lot of trends. There's some really exciting trends, and I think the most important thing that I want to stress is that so much opportunity for experts, thought leaders, companies and organizations, authors to get themselves out there in the media. I mean, when I started my company 10 years ago, podcasts had just started to be a thing, but the quality and quantity and also niche audiences that you can reach based on your expertise is more it's more available to you now than ever. What do you think of that, Catherine? Would you agree?
Yeah, totally. I don't even have anything to add to that because you nailed it.
Oh gosh, well, thank you.
Nothing to add.
Yeah. Well, Catherine, I want to thank you so much for your time. We love having you as a part of the Nardi Media team, and so grateful that we could have this conversation and nerd out together for 25 minutes, because I love talking about this kind of stuff. And even as a team, when we meet on our weekly calls, like getting our takes on, the New York Times bestseller list and print, like it feels like we're in a newsroom again. And I love that feeling. So thank you so much, Catherine, for your time.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
So much fun. And for those that are watching, if you are interested in working with Nardi Media to elevate your media strategy, get some media placements in 2025, we would love to connect with you, whether it's just DMing me here on LinkedIn or reaching out to us via our website at nardimedia.com/contact. Fill out that contact page and somebody on our team will be in touch. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Catherine. Wishing you all a very happy holiday season and a happy new year. Here's to 2025.
Cheers.
Bye.